What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gameclub and your review for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
I'm not going to warrant that with a response because you're not deserving of it.
That is a response.
This podcast.
That is innately a response.
I mean,
also, why? Why are you coming off so... I don't understand why he's...
If you didn't validate with a response, you would have just... all you would have had to do.
Say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
It's me! Hello! Hello to the chat.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now's there... no username left. Funny.
No username was left. There you go. Shout out in the chat. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is your monthly video game book club podcast in which me and the gentlemen play a game in the background during the course of a month. And at the beginning of each new month, we come and review it for your pleasure. You can watch us review everything live over at twitch.tv/TwoPennyGames, much like Big Boss M1911, and no username was left. Hopefully, Big Boss is still here because we had a lot of prep work to do. But if you'd missed the live stream, you can, of course, catch us over at youtube.com/@TwoPennyGames, where this is either its own standalone review/episode that you can check out, and full playlist for the entire series is in the description below, by the way, or it is attached to the Two Penny Games cast for whatever week of the Two Penny Games cast we're at, you know? But you're likely just catching the standalone review. Hello, welcome. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below where... or what you think about Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid in general. And when we get to ranking at the end of this episode, it amongst the other 31 games still are currently in the list, where it goes, and where you would wish it had gone.
This is the 32nd episode of the Two Penny Game Club.
Very exciting times.
Big number. Bigger than I would think it would be.
4 weeks away from 3 years doing this.
How do you know these things? What, do you look these things up?
there's the thing in the chat, in the Discord chat.
Oh, yeah. Is there?
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 3.
I'm sure there is.
Metal Gear Solid 3 was initially released November 17th, 2004. It sold... Snake Eater itself sold 4 million. Metal Gear Solid 3 accumulatively sold 7.5 million. And then add on, I guess, another 1.2 and 1.3 for the HD collection and Master collection, respectively. However you want to take those numbers is how you take those numbers, you know? With a 90... The original game, Snake Eater, had a 91 on Metacritic. We all played the subsistence version via the Master Collection, which I believe has a 9, or I don't believe, I have the number right here, a 94. Subsistence version, of course, gentlemen, bringing us the controllable 3D camera as opposed to the isometric camera that you would get in the other two games, so on and so forth, which you can still play this game that way. It's
not as good.
Inferior.
It's not as good. I for a long time, I was holding out hope that, like, oh, you know, it's still a valid way to play the game. I tried it a few times throughout my playthrough this time. No, just play with the 3D camera. It's so much better.
The map does not lend itself to that way.
The areas are too wide. There's too much information on screen, and also, like, you know, the difficulty of seeing enemies through all the greenery and stuff. You know, enemies blend in just as much as Snake does.
I think one part that frustrated me with the camera, at least, was... if you were prone in like a hiding place, like being like the grass, you couldn't go outside of
first-person view.
First person, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I also like it that way also because you know you're in the grass; it's hard to see.
I don't like it.
You know, it is what it is.
I'm also playing a video game with people with lightning hands and stuff like that.
For comparison's sake, Metal Gear Solid 2 was a 96 on Metacritic, the highest rated game, and Metal Gear Solid 1 is 94. So the subsistence version on par with the original game.
No username, this is live. I'm reading your chat message now.
This is live. This is indeed live.
We are recording this live stream.
Gentlemen, I've never been more nervous for one of these in my life.
Why are you nervous?
Yeah, he's a little pussy, is what he is.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Hold on. No need to be all aggressive. See, now Connor's view is all blue like my view is. Why?
Because
I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I don't understand cameras and lighting and things. I don't understand it. Color theory. If you've ever listened to any one of these shows before, or any of the times that we've ever talked about Metal Gear or my top 10 games of all time list ever, you know? Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is my favorite video game I've ever played. It was my first Metal Gear Solid game. It was my first M-rated game. None of that matters personally to nostalgia-wise. I legitimately think that this is It is my personal favorite game of all time, and I legitimately think it is in that conversation of greatest game of all time, hands down. So, what I've got to say here, I've said before, one, and two, I'm just gonna rant and rave about how great I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is. So, I'm gonna switch it up. And Connor, I'm gonna start with you this time. And I want to know what your opinions of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater are.
A preface. Open your minds. For this entire segment, this entire review, open your minds. Right?
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Maybe. I don't know. It depends on what you say. And
I'm
how
a pretty
you back
chill,
it up.
open-minded guy.
I'm not going to let you just have an outrageous statement for the sake of having an outrageous statement.
So, that'll come later.
Okay.
It's not starting right now. Just keep your minds open. But my experience with Metal Gear Solid 3 occurred. I see you getting nervous. Like
I'm fucking nervous.
My experience with Metal Gear Solid 3 came with the Xbox 360 collection of 2 and 3 and Peace Walker.
Oh, I played it the first time.
Oh, it is too. Oh, yeah, because
which is technically still that's the version you're playing, which is the Blue Point remasters.
Yeah. Because they didn't really do the best job for the port, but that doesn't matter for the sake of this review because the game runs perfectly well.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Metal Gear Solid 3. It is so far the culmination of all of the Metal Gears, which is to say 2, that we played up until this point. But with some knowledge I have of even the 5th one, which has some the best gameplay in the franchise, this one I think, even with that being said, Metal Gear Solid 3 is probably the best stealth game it's the best stealth game I've played. Definitively. I can say definitively now that I've, decided that it is 3 seconds ago. But the use of camouflage as opposed to traditional hiding behind cover mechanics really does elevate this game beyond what it usually would be at, as well as the environments in which you operate in. Very often stealth games will take place in civilized areas. One of the only exceptions I can think of, funny enough, is Assassin's Creed 3. But the setting taking place in the forest, because you do forest, like a lot of stuff in the forest in 3, don't you?
Yeah, there's a couple of maps.
Stealth in that game is not evolved.
No,
It's literally, it's essentially if the guard is facing you, if you're within a certain range, they can see you. There's no like, oh, you're in the shadows, right? I mean, sure, you can be in a bale of hay or like in what they decide is a stealth area in Assassin's Creed, but it's not like this system in Metal Gear where you have this, where it's centered around what camouflage you have on,
it's an
what
on
environment
and
you're
off
in. It is exactly that.
You're hidden or you're not.
Exactly that for Assassin's Creed. It is a switch that flips on and off.
Okay, that's good to know. So,
whereas like this is a slider, like a dimmer switch.
Yeah, and I also remember the forest environments in 3 being pretty barren. Of just like they're like cool parkour areas that you can go through and you can like hunt
bushes,
animals and stuff.
When you said 3, I was like, Metal Gear Solid 3?
No, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. But yeah, the use of a forest setting is not only the best in terms of what Metal Gear has done for its environments, because playing around with those, all the camouflages you have access to varying degrees of success, that also just factors in when you're moving through the environment rather than actively hiding for somebody, because the way the stealth system works is that rather than it be a definitive field of vision that you can see, which is what the past games had been, this one, they can spot you extremely quickly if you're just happening to run past their line of sight. That is helped along by the camouflage system, that it increases the amount of, how quickly they notice you. And so constantly playing around with those camouflage systems means that you're always engaging with the stealth systems rather than just dodging enemy views. Which I guess I can bring my biggest complaint of the game, which this is good that it's my biggest complaint of the game, which is that it has a pretty shit menu system. Pretty bad.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The reason why is in the camouflage system, you have to pause the game and go to a specific system, a specific setting within the menu system to select camouflage and then find what works the best. You can find out easily. You don't have to do trial and error. It'll have a number system that's right next to it that, it depends on which environment you're currently in, so you can quickly realize, oh, this is the best camouflage I can use. But you unnecessarily go into the system that slows down gameplay each and every single time you do it. And a game that constantly wants you to change camouflage and adapt to the situation, you're just putting up an unnecessary roadblock, which I don't know how limited they were in game design. I kept thinking to myself, why can't I just hold down the 2 triggers and select a camouflage quickly from there? And the reason why I was thinking that way is because, Metal Gear Solid has the classic, you select your weapon with the right trigger, left trigger selects your equipment, and you have easy access to it whenever you want. This also comes to be a problem when you're limited to how much you can hold in a single, on your menu system. Whereas in past Metal Gears, you had full access to everything. And it's not like this game has an overabundance in the things you can do, aside from meals, which I'll get into that in a second. So it's I don't really see a reason why they couldn't just put everything on the menu system.
Feeds into the, well, in terms of like items and weapons, why you can't have everything, feeds into the stamina system. Every item has weight. I know, like, realistically, he is still carrying every single gun on him.
Yes.
But, the idea being you can only have so many on quick access because the pistol is a couple of pounds, the machine gun is a couple of pounds, and that would drain your stamina more.
I just had the thought, like, in, like, Warner Brothers cartoons, they have Hammer Space. Fucking Solid Snake has Hammer Space, bro.
He does.
He does.
He does.
Pulls that out of his ass. But even so, the issue is that the stamina system, it didn't really seem to really... Because I always had a lot of stuff equipped, and I never was like, oh my god, I'm constantly having to do my stamina. The game doesn't really punish you that much for putting a lot of stuff in there.
On normal.
So ultimately, on normal, which is how most people play. So ultimately, it just gets to a point where, why should I be worrying about inventory management? Because even if it does make sense, at the end of the day, to choose the equipment I want to use, I still have to go unnecessarily through the menu system to equip it. So regardless of what systems they put in place to justify doing that, it's just entirely unnecessary. And it's more of just it reduces the quality of play moment to moment. That's the worst thing I could say about this game. Fortunately,
I think for me, the choosing what you have equipped was more or less set it and forget it until you lose all your stuff. And then it was whenever you pick stuff up, it automatically goes into your quick select wheel. And then when I get my stuff back, it then became the annoying thing where it's like, oh, well, now I have to take all this unnecessary stuff out and put all my regular stuff back in.
I will say, in terms of the menus, I agree with you in terms of camouflage, and that's probably the biggest criticism across the board for the game. Just, in general speak.
However,
God, you got to dig through these menus a lot to go adjust your camouflage and this, that, and the third. You don't need to change your camouflage as much as you probably think on your first time through. But I understand the feeling of compulsion to go do that, so it does get annoying and drag everything down. The thing with the item selects, it's just like, well, you don't need. Do you need a survival knife 100% of the time, or like there are times where sure the knife is nice, or do you need a machine gun 100% of the time? No,
But the drag that is brought on by those items was never relevant at all to my experience. And when I was constantly trying to play around with as many weapons as possible, because I got caught a lot, killed a lot of people.
How many people did you kill?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I didn't count.
Well, the game counts for you. I killed 198 people.
Really?
Yeah.
I had to have killed more than that. I was killing a lot.
Before, during the fight with the Sorrow, it'll have everyone come at you. Besides the Cobra unit, there were 3 people.
Yeah, you were not killing people.
There was a lot of I was slaughtering people.
It gave me a number at the end. I don't remember the number, but the only time I was just rapidly killing people was during the Shagohod escape.
Oh yeah.
Where it counts those.
Yeah. I was, and I wasn't killing a bunch of people because I was getting caught all the time. I got caught because I was this playthrough. I was playing around with mechanics and just kind of having fun with it and fucking around. I was also playing on hard, which is more difficult, and enemies will spot you faster, so you have to be more cautious. But I was just sneaking up on a lot of people, grabbing them, slicing their throats, and so forth. So I sliced so many scientists' throats. There's so many innocent scientists who are not threats to you at all.
Dude.
Just fucking in the Sorrow River, just fucking my neck. Anyways, Connor, continue. I'm sorry.
I only killed one of those scientist guys.
I killed so many.
Should have killed more.
I killed all of them.
Sleep.
Yeah, they're scumbag. They're honestly worse than the soldiers because they take a position.
So annoying.
Me?
No,
they are. Yes,
the scientists.
They're in the worst spots.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
I'll say the spot after you talk with Granin.
Yes.
That is probably the most difficult way to get out. That's the most difficult portion of the game to get through without getting caught.
Yes.
Because they are all facing you.
Yes.
And they will all like call that alert immediately on you, especially on higher difficulties. Like they're like, you're not with us. Like immediately. I'm like, fuck. Like, Jesus Christ, leave me alone.
Coming out the door, I didn't even get like the quick question mark thing. They're just immediately like, oh, there's an alarm.
That is the most difficult like spot in the whole game to not get caught in. That and the Eva at the end, but if you know how to manipulate the AI.
No, I didn't get caught at all with Eva.
Yeah.
That was the first time that I like kept getting caught.
In that segment, yeah.
I got caught the first time on the bridge just because I forgot like you have to like use the D-pad to walk slowly behind that one guard on the bridge.
The sneaking whatever they call it.
And that was also the first guy that I killed because I accidentally knocked him off the bridge.
Nice.
Nice. I did that too. But continue onward. The survival mechanics are fun to play around with. You know, they don't really, like I said before, they didn't really impact my experience with the game. Whenever I was low on stamina, I always had something to eat. And if I didn't, I could easily find it. Because the game facilitates that a lot. Which, once again, feeds back into my issue of I get the stamina system, what they were going for. It just becomes kind of insignificant and just more annoying than anything else. But,
so sorry to interrupt. I just have a quick question regarding the stamina system for the resident expert. When Snake eats something multiple times, does he like it more or like it less over time? Because I noticed like a changing thing. Because I remember him, if he doesn't like something, he grows accustomed to it and ends up liking it more.
That might be a thing.
It might be because I feel like with the Russian rations, he got better on it.
Well, no. See, for me, he never said that he liked it. But it would do the same amount of stamina every time. I'm more meaning like if I ate something that he initially said was really good, if I ate it again, it would give me less stamina that time.
Oh, the better tasting the food is, the more stamina is recovered. But if a certain food tastes bad, if you keep on eating it, you start developing an acquired taste for it and could end up liking it.
It doesn't work in reverse because I
mean, like things like the instant noodles and the calorie mates, like or just like it, or like some of the snakes or whatever, they'll just give you full stamina. It doesn't matter what level of stamina you're at; you're just at full stamina, 100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but like things like the ration or some of like a rat or a bat or things like that. Like if you're eating that a lot, he does grow to appreciate it more, and like
I definitely noticed that. I remember that from the first time we played through.
Yeah, that is a system that you rang a bell with that one. That I was like, fuck, I think that is the thing in the game. Like shit.
I just wasn't sure for a fact if it went the other way. Right. Continue.
No, that's fine. But yeah, the stealth mechanics, they're fun to play around with. It's more of a nice quirk of the game rather than something I really leave away thinking, wow, this is a survival stealth game. It's still just a stealth game in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I guess this is not a big criticism. I thought I would like... I'll take that back. The nurse saves a lot of those codec conversations, but Signet's not really interesting. Major Zero's not really that interesting either. The conversations are a lot less fun than they were in Metal Gear Solid 1, and even 2 to a degree.
I think I agree with you, but I think I know why. Because we like love movies and like classic movies.
Yeah.
And she always talks about classic movies. And I think that's why we have more of an affinity to that rather than Sigint or Major Zero.
Well, Mei Ling, correct, from 1. Yeah, I also really liked when she was like, Chinese proverb, let me tell you about it.
Sure.
So I just like when those people in the codec conversation have a gimmick that's at least interesting when you call them. Like you said, though, like, I like movies, so it was fun to hear her talk about, 1960s movies. And it always was funny with Snake being like, okay, he doesn't care at all, because he's just more interested. The only thing he's interested in is sex and eating anything.
Snakes.
Really. And snakes, but didn't he do that for, like, always for everything? Guns.
He's obsessed with guns.
It shows itself more in the narrative than it is.
Guns are more important to him than sex.
That's true.
Sex really not that important to him.
You know what? You're right. No, it's not. Yeah. What am I saying? He resisted it more than most people would.
Oh, yeah.
He's on mission. He's focused.
He's the boss. No, fuck. You know what I mean.
The glowing mushrooms recharge your batteries.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, and you know what? That can lead into the fact that there's funny quirks in this game. Fun little things you can do. A lot of it, I felt like they were more common when and that might just be my lack of experience with 2 and 1, but I feel like when I was fighting boss fights, there was a lot more interesting things you can do in those fights than you can with other ones. Last week, or I think it was the week before that, we talked about how I fought Volgan, a boss who you have to get behind him to shoot him in the back where he's most vulnerable. Instead, I just took out a handkerchief and put him to sleep. And I rubbed it, but I would run up to it. Did we tell you this, I thought?
No, we didn't tell him.
No. Oh, yeah, so the way I fought him, I was like, how do you beat him? Because there's a water mechanic that it seemed like you were supposed to do that to take advantage of him, to bring down his shields. It wasn't working. I still don't know what the full effect of that was supposed to be.
I don't either.
Yeah, kind of stupid. But especially because I was rewarded, at least I thought I was, for holding knives up to people's necks, but I guess not.
You are in certain things.
And so,
They give you hints and
just
stuff.
not for that one.
I think we just didn't understand the mechanic.
Yeah. But I certainly understood the mechanic of using because you have a handkerchief that puts people to sleep, and usually you hold on to people and press it up against their nose, but you can run up and do it to them. I didn't think I would use that, so I had a bunch of them. And when Volgan's boss fight came and I didn't know how to beat him, I was like, fucking handkerchief, and it worked. And it would stun him for a second. He'd go, stop, and so that's why I beat the guy, as I just went up to him, handkerchief him, and I bypassed his entire defense system just by doing that.
That's so funny.
You want to tell me this game's not the greatest fucking video game of all
That's so
time?
funny.
Like, what are we doing?
No, I mean, I didn't even think about it, but like, I guess maybe you could use the sleep cigarettes too, or
I don't
You
think
probably
those
could.
were.
No, you do, yeah, cigar, because you can eject them, like you.
Interesting.
Yeah, it works in a very similar way to the handkerchief, I believe.
I'm curious.
But the handkerchief was more intended for grabbing people and
Fuck
doing
around
that.
and find out.
that's so
Yeah, right?
funny.
Yeah,
No, because all I would do is I would do the classic, don't equip your weapon so he can't track you with the lightning, and wait for him to go, and then go behind him and shoot him.
yeah. The weapon part was also a cool one, but handkerchief, how many other ways can you beat the bosses in weird ways? I don't know.
I
You have to
CQC
experiment.
slam him to the ground and then kick him while he's down.
Especially, it was also very funny when I beat him and he goes, "Blah!" and he pops up a bunch of
It's
blood.
like he's like overdosing from the chemicals, but he's just like that's just the cutscene. Is he just vomiting blood because he's losing his life? Like,
the game is full of fun quirks like that.
Yeah,
The narrative is the most focused a Metal Gear's game has been.
easily.
It goes into the Metal Gear trap of being way too talkative, but only at the beginning of the game. It immediately stops after you get all of the need to know information.
It definitely doesn't stop. It just gets more interesting.
It doesn't stop. It gets to a point after that to where it lends itself well to the story. The Metal Gear Solid quirks seem to be multiplied by 2 in this game, from the weird fucking noises Ocelot makes to the cool system of holding
the campiness. The campiness.
Yes,
of it,
the campiness, the Kojima style
Yeah.
brought into this extra fun level.
That was his signal to get his Ocelot soldiers.
He's an Ocelot, so why would he not do that? The interesting mechanic of holding down R1. A lot of these seem very quirky and just gimmicky when you're talking about them, but in the game, they just add to that level of immersion. The narrative.
Sorrow just holding up signs.
Yes, he just holds. He's always there. He's always doing something. What's that fucking guy's deal? I don't know. He looks like a pedophile, but
Whoa!
he does.
Whoa!
Does he look like a pedophile, Phil?
Totally
I don't know
unnecessary.
about that. All I know is if you break that out as a short, you have to instead of putting
I gotta
pedophile,
bleep that.
put Drake
Oh, yes.
in the subtitle.
Topical. Very topical. But yeah, it has the emotional narrative of Metal Gear Solid games don't overall really hit. They just don't. I'm not like
Say
oh
that
my
again.
God.
I'm sorry. I
The
didn't hear.
emotional impact of narrative of Metal Gear Solid's narratives don't really hit.
Okay.
You're not like super, dude. I care about Raiden and like Raiden.
Right, and sure, I
and-
disagree in the first game, but
and-
I can understand how, from a modern perspective, the first game doesn't hit like it used to.
I think So I think it kind of goes on a ramp, right? Like, so the first game, maybe you don't care that much, you're not that invested. I got a little bit invested in like Raiden's relationship with
Rose.
Rose.
That's what I was trying to criticize.
Like, I'm sure it's not great, but I think it has a little more emotional resonance than in the first game.
Yeah,
and then it peaks here for me.
Yeah. I mean, well, my overall point was that Metal Gear Solid 3 is kind of the same way. In fact, I was hoping that the narrative would hit me harder emotionally, but it really didn't until the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the end does more than most games do.
Okay.
Yeah,
The end of the game, not the end of the Cobra unit.
No. The end of the game. Yeah.
No,
The end of the game, and honestly, the end as well. His moment of death.
with the pigeon, the parrot.
Yeah, you know what? I take that back because they
Grandpa.
undermine it in that same scene.
You don't like the parrot?
not parrots. The denture's busting out more so. That's it was like this cool solemn moment, and he's already going to explode. So you're already going to be like, ha, funny, but that would work. But the denture's part's just like, okay.
So funny.
I guess that just didn't really hit for me. But that ending, and particularly the character associated with the weight of that ending is, there's a reason why they consider her one of the best female characters in gaming history, which is the boss. Completely, even with knowing what her whole entire deal is, the end of it really not only hits hard, but it does change the entire perspective in, why exactly.
My question is it like, to your point of like,
the past Metal Gears?
Even with this one is like, when it's supposed to hit, it hits. So what is your problem with it not hitting?
Overall, the game, like, from A to B to C, doesn't hit until the ending.
What does that mean, doesn't hit?
Like, the whole bosses-snakes relationship, you're like, these guys care about each other, but you
can bring the volume down just a touch.
Yeah, you don't really feel it in the ultimate sense. It builds itself because of the fact that they're like, why is she doing what she's doing here? Racking your brain for, what her motivations exactly are. And to have them become unveiled as time goes on and to hit you with the ending of...
So I'm confused. Are you just upset that you're not crying in the first 5 minutes?
No, more just like there's nothing that I'm like, I care about these guys. I care about these characters. I want to see what happens to them. I'm really invested in their story. Like,
you didn't care about Eva.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Not really. Snake, I did.
Or like even Ocelot. Like I care about Ocelot in this game.
The writing's good.
I care about Ocelot more than Eva.
Oh yeah, way more. Definitely. The writing. I'm saying this from the emotional impact of the game, not the quality of the narrative. The quality of the narrative is consistently great all throughout. Okay. It's just the reason why this game is held up, I think, narratively, is primarily because of that ending more than anything else. Kind of similar to Metal Gear Solid 2 being as impactful because of what the ending does. This one, it's more on its own merits rather than what happens in the real world. For those of you that know anything about Metal Gear Solid 2, you could probably guess what I'm talking about. But all this is to say, I enjoyed very much the narrative, and the characters were fun and once again quirky. Especially the bosses you fight. The bosses were the best Metal Gear Solid has as a group of bosses.
I would agree with that.
My least favorite, I guess, and this might be because of how I played the game, is the Sorrow. I feel like I'm not exactly... Again, that goes to the emotional weight of the game, where the impact of his story and how it intertwines with the boss's story doesn't... It's more just, once again, telling you things rather than making you really care about it. Like when it goes into whole, this was a person who really cared about, and she had to kill her, and it was, she had to kill him, and it was conflicting. You don't really feel that confliction a lot because it's just some character who doesn't really talk all that much and just gives you a moral naysaying about how killing's wrong, and I'm going to make you feel how it's wrong. That's not it. The game doesn't feel like it's talking to me. Once again, I'm only talking in the context of how emotionally resonant is this game, and not that much. It's good from a perspective of looking at the narrative and saying, wow, what's going to happen next? Who is Adam? Who is Eve? Oh, she's Eve. Is she Eve? I don't really know. What's Vogan doing? What?
She's Eva.
She's Eva, right? Lazy.
Chinese.
That was the other thing as well. I was like, damn. I didn't think it would be Chinese.
That confused me in my first playthrough too. And this time I was like, I'm just not going to question it.
They did set it up by saying that they're one of the big, one of the philosophers, one of the three philosophers. Like, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, they're one. The philosophies are being from the U.S., Russia, and China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that has,
it's set up
China
China.
doesn't really have anything to do with Eva being Chinese. She's just Chinese.
Yeah, which is why the whole thing with Ava makes sense. It's like, oh, they were the other people who have a massive interest in the philosopher's legacy.
Take a shot every time he says the name wrong, by the way.
What? The philosopher?
Eve.
Ava.
Ava. Yeah, she's basically Eve for most of the game, when you think about it.
Like,
she
I understand because it's a playoff.
Eva.
It's a playoff of the Adam and Eve thing, yeah. But like, it's Eva. Like,
yeah. I know.
At no point does she ever call herself Eve.
Nobody ever says it
because I'm always thinking in terms of Adam and Eve.
Can I ask? Did you guys? So obviously, like the Ocelot being Adam is like in the post-credit thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But when he says his name is Adamska,
no shit.
Did anybody grab that?
Of course, it was like
I'm pretty sure I grabbed that in the first playthrough.
We'd have to go back and look. I have no idea, but I don't.
Pretty sure I grabbed that.
Yeah, that was because Eva.
Yeah.
You go, oh, that must be Eve. So when they said Adamska, it's like, yeah, that's Adam. what do you mean? It's Adam.
Well, because
no, I'm asking. No, I understand that it's
Oh.
a simple thing that you can tie together. I'm asking, did you, Connor, when he said Adamska, you go, oh, you're Adam?
Yeah, of course. Adam. It's literally like it doesn't even sound like a Russian
my
name.
thing is like that's so long ago. You totally forget about Adam as a entity at all.
No, I was always curious about it because they mentioned it, and you never fucking see the guy.
Oh, really?
And it's just
Yeah, that's a thing that like left my brain as soon as we exit that scene.
Oh, really?
Well, I think it's just you're talking about as a kid or like currently playing through or what?
Kind of hard to
I
say.
mean, I that's a hard thing to say, but like,
I think
because I was like
it's
13 and like forgot about it, but I just don't think that's a question that I don't believe that's a question that most players think about. After hour 3.
I just think the reason it leaves your brain so early is because little prepubescent 13-year-old Tavin is like, oh,
right,
boobies,
but I can say
there's boobies on screen.
Right, but
it was Adam. I don't care.
Right, but I'm not a victim of limited perspective, so I can take myself out of my own personal perspective, and like, there's 13 hours in between the conversation about Adam and then the reveal of Adam. So like, most people are gonna forget that happened 13 hours ago, over the course of however long it took you to play the game. Like, you went to sleep, you came back. Like, there are people who forget the beginning of a movie by the end of the movie. And so when the twist happens at the end of the movie, they go, oh shit, that's right, that did happen, right? Like, I struggle to think, and also like, in context of the scene, you're dealing with the weight of the death of the boss. You're dealing with the excitement of escaping. The oh my god, he's back again. Like, I struggle to understand how you, Connor, go, oh, of course, when he says Adamska, because who the fuck is thinking about Adam?
I think him saying "oh, of course" is a little like too much. For me, that twist moment in the movie is when he says, "My name is Adamska." That's what's like, oh, he's Adam. It's not, oh, of course he's Adam. For me, that's the moment. That's the twist moment where you.
But even you going, oh, he's Adam. That implies that you're thinking about Adam. I don't think normal people are thinking about Adam.
That's the thing, is that I'm not thinking about Adam. Is him saying that? It's like, oh yeah, Adam. That's my takeaway from it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. But yeah,
for me, it was never. I mean, obviously, my first playthrough, it was never. Oh, so Ocelot's Adam. Duh. It's oh my god, Adam.
But then you go back and Adam does show up to the meeting spot. He's just a little late, and he's
right.
got a group of guards that he knows you're going to take out.
Think back to it, yeah.
Yeah, slippery bastard.
Slippery bastard.
Yeah, he's Ocelot, so frankly, you should know he's
always got a double second thing going on.
Shout out Josh Keaton.
Josh
yeah,
Keaton.
he plays Ocelot.
Who's like Josh Keaton is what's he done?
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's all I got. I know he's done a bunch of other things, but that's always the one I think
he's a very prolific voice actor.
Story, narrative.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying before, like that emotion, the emotional weight of that game really hits in the later half. But you're always interested in what exactly is going on, the developments of
Iron Man and Marvel Rivals.
Oh,
yeah,
doing a great, and he's doing an all right RDJ impression in that.
Maybe he's not trying to do that.
Captain America and X-Men '97.
Good for him.
He's in that. Oh, okay.
That's. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know Captain America was in that?
I did not know. Yeah.
No, it is like 2 seconds.
Oh, okay. So he's Captain America. But yeah, no. Whereas there's a lot of Metal Gear games kind of seemed like the narrative like twists and really interest comes in at the end as well, where you're like unveiled of what the secret Kojima thing is here. But I feel like the story beat to story beat in Metal Gear Solid 3 is always interesting. Whether it's going to the weapons facility, whether it's worrying about all of the betrayal of the Cobra unit, I guess you could call it their betrayal, though they're kind of an independent unit. Betrayal of the boss more so, and what exactly she's doing. Because every single time she comes in, you're questioning of, well, you're not killing me, you're not doing something else. What's your game here? I know what it is.
The Cobra unit doesn't betray the boss.
Yeah, I was saying like
he's talking the defection.
The defection, yeah.
But Cobra unit also isn't American.
Yeah, so I'm like, they can't really defect. They're just a group.
To say, because like the Cobra unit, like
he's just tripping over his words. It's not that big of a deal.
But yeah, Vogan's an incredibly good villain. He's just great.
Oh my god,
he's intimidating. He's you love to hate him.
So he's just so fun.
Yeah, he is. Mm-hmm.
Like all the way down to when you're disguised as Rykov. And
oh my god, yes.
Wait a minute.
You're not. What's his name?
Rykov.
No. But he calls him Ivan. You're not Ivan.
I wonder why he called him that.
That's his first name.
His first name.
Well, why would he call him Ivan?
Because they're lovers.
They're lovers in the nighttime.
He knows how big his junk is.
He gets
now
around.
The question is: Snake's junk too big or too small?
Too small.
I like to think it's too small.
He's in the water, he's in the cold all the time. Has to be some kind of after effect being in.
He's also like, I imagine he's pretty nervous.
Oh, he's just not thinking about it, and it's also the question of like, well, is Snake a grower, a shower, or is Big Boss just got a tiny penis?
Mm-hmm. Compensating for that title.
And then
it's more aerodynamic.
And then
right.
he shaved his penis down like he shaved the fucking grip of the pistol.
That's why they had him jump out of a plane twice. That's what they were doing.
Right. Which, if Big Boss has tiny penis, you know what that means? Liquid, solid, and Solid is tiny penis.
Tiny penis.
Tiny penis.
Yeah.
I believe Solid has
genetics.
a tiny penis because he's got steroids, but
genetics. Yeah.
But yeah, where else was I going with this?
Vulcan boss fights.
Boss fights are incredibly fun.
Yeah.
Each one have. I honestly like the Fury. I know you're going to say, he's not bad.
He's mid.
He's not like
he's the
I
worst.
don't think
one.
it's bad, but I just think it's mid. It's a bottom tier Metal Gear boss fight, and I'm talking whole franchise.
Yeah. But I still had fun with each and every single one of them.
Sure.
They didn't really seem like they had that much of gimmicks to them because Metal Gear Solid. I always think of it as having like, they have like
use the sniper on this one.
Yeah, use the sniper on this one. Or
Grenades on this one.
I feel like this game gives you basically whatever method you choose to do.
Figure it out.
It works just as effectively. Yeah. And so it is a game that incentivizes you to test things out. I think even more so than the other games do. Whereas those ones, though they have a lot of depth to them, you're not finding it out as much as you are in 3.
I think sort of the formula of it is that they put the gimmick on the boss and not so much on the player now. Whereas it's like, the player needs to use grenades to do this. Here it's, the boss is invisible.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? The boss has hornets that will make him invulnerable to bullets. So how do you deal with that? This boss you can only hit from behind. How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And then giving the player freedom to engage with that in whatever way they want to with those systems.
Yeah.
I think what's kind of fun, at least with like the design of the boss and like the order the bosses and the order in which you fight them, they're kind of 2 bosses in a row where I think most people would use the thermal goggles to like assist them and help them like fight them, being the fear and the end.
Yeah.
And then they follow that up with the fury, which if you're trying to use thermal goggles against the
hurts
fury,
you.
It hurts you. Exactly. So I think that's kind of fun and how they kind of pace that out.
For sure.
They subverted my expectations of what the thermal goggles would do. I was thinking that.
Thermal goggles really disables the fear entirely, and it's just a shooting range, Like,
I never thought about using that one, did I?
Yeah.
I did at the end, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also like I think the thermal goggles live in a place where like you could get it before or after the fear. I forget exactly where you pick them up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think it's pre.
I got them.
I think it's like somewhere in the river or something like that. Or
is it in that corner of the storage area?
I think so. I think it's in that storage area.
I remember I got sent back. Yeah, but I think I found those because I got sent back with the end. Because again, these are cool things the game does where
so fucking good.
With the end, I saved the game. Are you sure you want to do that, Snake? And I immediately, of course, I was like, yeah, I do now. So I saved it. I quit the game. He put me to sleep when I booted the game back up again 2 days later. Cutscene begins with me getting put to sleep by the end. They put you in a jail cell that you got to break out of. Super easy to. But that on the return part from that is when I believe I found the thermal goggles because I'd missed them originally. And it just, once again, these small little things that aren't ones where you need to play around with the system as much as you might do in Metal Gear Solid 2. You just find them a lot more often by playing through the game naturally.
You can beat the end before that boss fight.
Yes.
This is a famous thing told by the end.
Oh,
So you guys probably
right,
know this
right.
or whatever. So like you get the sniper rifle in the river. You hang a left before you get to that cutscene where the end is introduced.
Which I missed.
You hang a left. Oh, really? Both? You missed it. Yeah. You got to go grab the sniper rifle, come back. And then there's that whole cutscene where Ocelot does the juggling revolvers for the first time, and the fear wheels the end out. And then as soon as the cutscene ends, bring that sniper out, and you can pop shots at the end real quick. You got to do it fast because he'll run away. But you pop shots at the end, and you can kill him right there. Also, fun thing: the end explodes like he does, right? And he's in a wheelchair, so the wheel of the wheelchair comes and flies and hits you.
It does?
And you have to move out of the way to where it'll hit you. It's fucking
funny.
so good.
And you see, you mentioned the revolver part when he's doing his little testing bit.
It's so tense every fucking time.
Yeah, he does that one against Sokolov and then the other one against Eva, right?
He does it against Sokolov, Eva. He does it a third time. I forget when else he does.
Well, I mean, he juggles it whenever you're doing like the face-off and you choose which revolver.
Yeah,
but
he
like,
does
like
it
that.
with he does it with the pulling the triggers thing.
Yeah.
Does he?
3 times.
It was never tense to me. I would describe it as funny each time because he's just fucking with them every time. And you know he's Ocelot. They're always going to be fine.
He might be my favorite like Metal Gear character.
He might be. Yeah, he gets high up there.
I think this is the one where he really like elevates there. Like this version of him is the best version of him, and it's so good. And it cheats a little bit because he's in all of them. But this is the time, except for maybe Peace Walker, but this is the time where like the characters start building on themselves. And it's really the only character that really does that. Like it's a little bit with Solid Snake. 4 kind of messes up the trajectory of that. It's a little bit with Big Boss. 5 messes up the trajectory of that.
Yeah. Playing this, go on.
And so like Ocelot's the only one where you can track the arc, and it's cool. It's a little demented because he turns like evil as he keeps going, but like
But does he?
It just turns into he turns into the best written character in the entire franchise just because he's so consistent.
I think that still is held by the boss because she's only in one game. She's consistently good all throughout.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You know, and it's in the most strong narrative, I believe, of any Metal Gear game, at least so far.
And it's a really magical thing because it retroactively makes character actions cooler.
Yeah.
So like things like, you guys don't know about this, but Big Boss setting up Outer Heaven in Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 like is a direct response to that, right?
Yeah.
And then that just keeps rolling, and the ball just keeps rolling. So generationally, you see that in it's the boss's will turns into Big Boss's will.
Yeah.
Because Snake and Solid and Liquid are trying to revive, and Solidus are trying to revive that. And so like you just see this echo effect happen, and it directly correlates with what Boss is talking about in her final monologue. And all that's so fucking well written.
Weird that her stitches become alive.
That's so fucking cool.
That's one where it's just like Japanese.
I'm going to our list, right? Japanese, yes.
Yeah.
Tavin's biggest, I think, issue with our list has been Yakuza 0 over Doom.
True. He
Now,
doesn't
Portal
like it. He doesn't like how high we have Yakuza
Portal 2
0.
needs to be
he does
quite
not
a bit
like
higher.
that. You don't talk about it as much, though. You talk more about Yakuza. You might. I'm not.
I think
denying
I think Doom upset me because it just got to the point of like, come on, guys, like, what are we talking about?
Well, the same exact reason why a benefit of Yakuza 0 is found here as well, which is the style of the game elevates it to an nth degree than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid, arguably to a greater degree, because those cutscenes, cutscene by cutscene, are always investing me in some way. Whether it's telling me more about, what the fuck's going on with, fictional relations between the U.S. and Soviet Union during this entire scenario, to scenes where Revolver's fucking with people, or Volgan's being a creep, or learning about exactly, these Cobra guys, why do they fight? What do they fight for? I think the only one where we get a definitive answer with that is like the end, and I guess you could say the sorrow, other than just going along with Big Boss. My point is, though, that style of things like the snake going off, it's always so fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time it happens.
But you don't like the dentures.
What? That's because it undermines that moment where it's like, oh, here's the first time with one of these bosses, you're like, oh, he's lived this long life. And he's always looked for that final battle that he's, that's going to be a perfect send-off. And here he is. He's finally achieved it. And he's in tune with nature, and he's appreciating how it's all led to this moment.
And then here's a joke.
Yeah, where all the other guys have nothing like that. And so if they did do a joke, I'd be like, ha, funny joke. But this time it's like, well, why'd you have to do that for this one guy?
Do you think that Ocelot... Now stay with me. Do you think Ocelot owns a mirror?
Go on.
Yes.
Because how would Ocelot, if he knows what he looks like, how does he look at the boss and not be like, are we related?
Yeah.
Funny you should mention that, Phil.
Yeah.
There's a codec conversation in which they heavily hint at, and of course it's talked about in Boss's final monologue a little bit, but it's more overtly mentioned in a codec conversation where Ocelot is the child of the boss and the sorrow.
Yeah.
Which then retroactively makes you go, that's why Liquid possesses him, because he's got this spiritual power from his father going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
But no, I was gonna say, because
and then Metal Gear Solid 4 fucks it up.
Knowing that Ocelot is the boss's child, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how does Ocelot not know that?
Hey, you know, you're
'Cause
playing.
you
Well,
gotta
because it would
think-
fuck up his story.
Oh.
He's not going to stop and pause
It's
and
like-
break because it fucks up his.
You gotta think that the boss knows, right?
Oh, the boss knows. Boss knows everything that's happening. There's even a couple of times in cutscenes, if you go in with that information, the boss looks at Ocelot
Yes.
and is like, got like a little bit of a motherly longing to him, wants to make sure he gets out of here okay, like just a little bit there. You have to kind of inference a lot, but
Yeah.
it like if you want to interpret it that way, we can interpret it that way. Phil, I want to jump to you in general opinions, but let's keep it short because we've been talking.
Oh yeah,
40 minutes already.
that's exactly what I was going to go
Yeah,
into next after that.
Yeah.
I really just want to say that this game to me and kind of this franchise is the type of game where I really have to like try to start playing it because I know once I like get into it, I'm going to want to keep playing it. But as soon as I get away from it, it's so hard for me to come back to it.
Really?
You know, I don't know why that is for me. But as soon as like I'm in it, I'm knocking out like 3 or 4 hours, like if not longer, right? Like, cause I just get so tied into it, or like I look at it, and it's just because I've also been playing Sly, but I look at how I can just run around and do nothing in that game, and I kind of can do the same thing in Snake Eater as well. And that's like, oh, let me just capture all these animals or take all these animals out and see which one Snake likes and which one he doesn't like, right?
Yeah.
Or like,
Oh, there's a lot of guards in this area. Let me fuck around with mechanics here.
Exactly.
And see what
Let me sneak up behind this guy, like shake him down, and then like, oh, let me see how long it takes to put someone to sleep by shooting them in the leg, in the body, or the head.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like, and I just, it's such a nice playground, right? It's super fun. I really like the camo system a lot. The only thing that bogs it down we talked about is the menu. I also like
they've shown, not that this matters for this conversation, but that is the thing that is getting the most overhaul in the remake is they are putting it on a quick select button
for Delta.
Yeah, you don't have to enter a full menu for it. I think it's like going to be on the D-pad or something.
Gotcha.
And then you select. It does still, and this is why I think you have to dig in the menus for it in this game, Connor, because it changes the character model. Because it's not like simple skins.
Like there's like
that's
some
not.
texture
It's not
to
like
it.
just putting clothes on or changing. Like it changes a character model. So like there are, 50 different character models for Snake in this game. Right?
So they like add a bunch of like if you have like a sandy thing, it adds like texture to it.
Yeah. So it's so even in Delta Remake, when you select your camouflage because it's on a quick select menu like you're asking, the screen still wipes and then comes back and you have the camo. It's gonna be a lot faster in Delta, but that is a thing that is it. Codec call is also going to be overhauled in that way as well, which I don't know how I feel about that.
One thing that kind of messes me up with the menu for selecting camo is like every single time without fail, when I go to camouflage, I'll start with the face by mistake.
Select face first, yeah. If you just switch those two?
I just wished it was switched. Yeah.
I understand the logic of putting face first because it's on the top.
Heads at the top, bodies on the bottom, obviously. But
you're going into that camouflage because there's so many more camouflages.
Right.
And it's the majority of, like, the face only adds or subtracts.
like five maybe 10.
Maybe 15.
Oh,
maybe 15. Just depending on the camouflage that you're using.
Me playing through this game, my second time overall playing through the game, I wanted to play it a lot differently this time. So in the first game, we talked about a little bit how being my first experience with the game, I kind of was just a little, not bloodthirsty is the wrong way, but I just didn't care about not killing. And so in this one, I tried my best to like not kill where I could. And in doing that, I was collecting all the camos in the game, and that kind of really helped me dig into the camo system in general. And I was really playing with all the different camos, and the camo you get from the fear, right? The spider camo, I put it on and I'm like, oh my God, this is like good literally everywhere. What's the drawback on this? And then I see my hunger go like super fucking fast. I was like, okay, I'm not going to use this. This sucks. I'm not going to do that. And so kind of my favorite camo, like in a section, and it really improved this section for me as opposed to how I felt about it my first playthrough. The section after is it after the ladder, where you're on the mountaintop?
The mountains, yeah.
Yeah. That section for me became like one of my favorite parts of the game.
I love it too.
Like just playing through it, and I remember hating it or like really not liking it my first playthrough. I don't know, hate may be a strong word, but because I had the animal camo from Ocelot, and that camo is so fucking good in that area, and I was literally just like, I would be crouched, and I think I was at like 65-70% in that area with my face. I was like, dude, I can literally just sit here and people are walking by and not seeing me. I'm like, that's insane. And so it did the thing where I was playing, because if you don't destroy the helicopter, it'll just kind of keep cycling and coming through. And so it became a really fun game of almost like red light, green light. Where I would go through this area with the animal camo, and I think it was like the desert camo I had on my face.
Desert tiger.
There's also, it's worth saying, there is also a desert and a chocolate chips camouflage, which both work equally well in that place.
Which I also got both of those. But I would go through, and laying down, I was literally, I don't know if it was 95, but I was 90% camouflaged with those two things on. And so I would jump up, go a little bit, I would hear the helicopter go, and so I would drop down, right? And wait for it to pass, get to a certain spot, get back up, keep going, take out guards, putting them to sleep every once in a while, anytime I would see real quick. And so it became a really like fun pacing to it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was very, very neat. And I just really enjoyed my time playing through this game. Like I remember liking it a lot playing through back in the day, but it just on another level this time. And I think I mentioned it earlier, kind of my set and forget kind of lineup of things. I really only had like 4 or 5 things in my weapon wheel.
Yeah.
And it was like my knife, my main, like the killing pistol, which I would use for like animals and stuff like that.
Fair.
They're far away. Or like if I was also shooting keratin frogs. So I would use it on that. And then
just for like if you saw one, you'd shoot it.
Yeah, if I saw one, I would shoot it.
Yeah.
The only one that I saw that I didn't hit was outside the prison, because I didn't have the single action army, and I didn't bother going back in after I got it.
Didn't have the single action army, or you just didn't have ammo for it?
I didn't have ammo for it.
There we go.
That's what I meant to say. And so I just couldn't hit it, because I would try to use the fork and like stab at it from under the desk, and I just couldn't reach it.
How great is the fork?
It's so funny. It's also funny because like if you stab an animal with the fork, it just immediately goes to your hunger, because you just eat it.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, that was the best part about it.
Yeah,
that's why
awesome.
you liked it so much.
Oh my god, it's so
I was crawling underneath. Rat.
It was very, very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the knife, the 2 pistols. If I was like, I wasn't crazy about the Mosin-Nagant, like the sleep sniper rifle.
It's fine. It works for what it is.
It's just because it wasn't silenced.
Yeah.
Like
I use it in one part, and it's that first mountain map where if you just like walk backwards a little bit, you pretty much get a full view of...
That's so weird. I also used it in the mountain area.
Exactly, right there. Yeah, you get
but
a full...
not in the part you're talking about.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. You basically get a full view of the whole mountain that you're about to climb up, and you can just like pop 3-4 guys right there.
Yeah.
Leaves 2 guys at the end that are around the corner. Very easy to get there.
There was like one guy left. There's like a shack that you kind of come to that's kind of on the right side as you curl around the mountain. There's a guy kind of next to it on like a balcony kind of thing, and there's a keratin frog on the top.
Yes.
And so I, you know what I'm talking about?
I know,
so that part of the cover, I was kind of like elevated, and so I was like, let me try the Mosin-Nagant real quick. And I didn't realize that it wasn't silenced, so I shot him, and then like it did the thing where when I hit him, it did the quick exclamation, but then he passed out. He like went to sleep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this isn't silenced.
Oh, you lucked out.
I'm just not going to use it.
You got lucky.
Yeah. I'm just not going to use it.
You also got to cock it after every shot, which I think is a very smart mechanic that they've always done with the tranquilizers of like, you can't go crazy with them.
Another weapon that I didn't use last time, at least I don't remember using it my first playthrough, but I used a lot in this playthrough, at least at the very end, where you're on the motorcycle with Eva, is the heavy machine gun.
Oh, I was just about to ask about this.
The light machine gun, rather.
Did you find the M63? Did you use it?
Dude. It's so funny. Good. And like, let me tell you, like that motorcycle chase area, I remember being like kind of mid on it the first time. It's a lot of fun.
Kojima thought to himself, all right, first time I did this, it was shit. The second time, good.
A lot better. But it was just it's so broken, the mechanic.
That's a sequence I put the camera back on normal mode.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
it's like hella cinematic.
I
And
literally-
you spend most of it in first person anyway.
I literally hold the first person
so like the
button
times
down.
where I'm like not shooting at things, I'd like to see a more cinematic camera than
No,
just
the
where do I wanna
entire
put it.
time I just held down the first person. And so I would literally go through any kind of magazine, or like in the Vulcan fight with the RPG, the mechanic of not having to reload and just unequipping and re-equipping rapidly. I was doing that so many times. I was like, why is this so fucking broken? Like, this is the most overpowered thing in this game.
They want you to do it, man.
Yeah.
They want you to be like, oh,
and it was
shit.
just so fun.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and say this as quickly as possible so that we can just keep talking about the game in general. When we did the Metal Gear Solid 2 review, I said I don't understand why that formula of game design is not followed more. Of like, this is a map, learn it, love it, master it. Like, experiment with a couple of mechanics and so forth. But like, that is a game and game design that you could see being easily replicatable. And I don't understand why it never is. This game, I don't think you can. Or like, you can, but like, they just nailed it out of the park. This version, that like every other version of this type of game would be derivative. And what I mean by that is like just the continuous, like, moving through environments and connected to connected, and the way each map is sort of designed and laid out in level design ways is so well crafted. I don't think there's a bad area in the game. Like, I think it's genuinely fun to explore every single map that you enter. And there's always a hidden secret. There's always something to find. And the way all of the systems are layered and work together in tandem, like, this game just, like, you can't name another game that, like, well, maybe like a From Software game or something, but like, it's really hard to name another game where it is constantly rewarding the player for thinking, can I do this? Let me see. And more often than not, it works out, or it creates results that you could have never expected, and so on and so forth. And there's so much detail. There are so many layers. I have played this game upwards of 50 times easily. Like, I might be getting close to 100 playthroughs of this game if I'm not already past it. I discovered something new this time. And there is a gag item in the game where it's a crocodile mask. And you put it on your it's under the items thing. It's not a camouflage thing, but yeah, it's a croc cap that you can get, and it's under a thing. You just put it on and you have croc cap. Generally, I just thought it was a gag item. No, it has a purpose.
Yeah.
When you are in water, if you crouch while having the croc cap, they think you're a crocodile.
Yeah.
And so the map after the cave, before you see the end for the first time, where it's the introduction of the dudes on the floating platforms and stuff, that is another red light, green light moment of put the cap on, crouch in the water, they pass by you, get up, move.
See, I didn't even mention that because I thought you already knew about that.
They had no idea about that. I thought it was just a gag item the whole time.
I full on did that.
Yeah, I thought that was the entire purpose of the mask.
It's pretty much the entire purpose. Yeah, it's for that one section of the game.
If you don't have that, you have to like swim underwater.
You got to swim underwater. You got to equip a camouflage, and that works as well. But you've also got to dive as deep as you can. It's pretty shallow, so it's hard. So you got to move fast because like even like best camouflage and like diving as deep as you can, passing under that light, because the light also affects your camouflage index. Passing under that light makes the guard go, "What's that?" So if you don't move, you're gonna get caught.
I'm not crazy about swimming in this game.
It's fine. It's functional. It's not like a.
Are you supposed to spam the button to go faster? Okay, because that's what I was doing. I was like, this doesn't feel right all the way. Like
the weird thing was how often if you would like break up on the water, and it would just kind of like slow down. You'd be like disoriented for a second, and then the camera would change perspective.
Catching your breath.
Yeah, but
it's a weird thing. I think it's something to do with the camera and first person into third. I think in these first 3 Metal Gear games, I think Snake is, from a developer perspective, I think Snake is different in first person. I think he's like a different model, or he doesn't have a model.
Oh yeah. Have you seen those things where like how when people are designing FPS games, they make the hands like really weird?
Yeah, it's to like make it look right for that. I think there's some of that happening here.
I know what you're talking
where
about.
I think you are a different physical being when you're
different entity.
When maybe not so much in first person mode, but when the game forces you into first person mode. So like if you're crawling through a vent, or in this game crawling through the grass, because you'll also like in the first game, you know, probably limitations of the time, but when you're in a vent, you're invisible. Like,
oh yeah,
like you just cannot be seen. So I think there's some kind of weird trickery happening there, which is why it takes a second to switch every time you break the surface.
Well, that would make sense because very often I would go underneath an object to escape guards, and I immediately get under that desk, but I know my whole body isn't. But I'm treated as though my whole body isn't.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, So yeah, you're probably literally just like a small little head.
Yeah,
is
something similar in like Sly Cooper. If you
almost exactly that way.
I just have to say it because you were like, the swimming part in Metal Gear Solid 2 is the worst part in that game. The swimming was better than MGS3 swimming.
I disagree.
I never had a problem with it.
That's MGS2 swimming is worse.
I always found that swimming system, the swimming system, to be really easy and fluid, especially as far as those older games go.
Yeah, in 2, I always have the thing of like, fuck, like.
I think it plays better here, but for me, it just feels odd. Like, it didn't feel like I was doing it the right way, but I just found a way that was working for me. But apparently, that's also the way it was intended.
Swimming in games is tough.
Yeah,
like that's just tough to make. I don't think anybody nailed it until the PS4 generation. Like,
feels pretty okay in Ratchet.
Yeah, when they give you the fucking jetpack for it.
Oh yeah, before then I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, but like again, like I just think this is a masterclass in design. I think this is Kojima's best game. I think this is his best paced game. In all of the Metal Gears, you get to the end and he just starts ranting to you. And I've said it in the other reviews. He just starts telling you the subtext of the game. Yeah. And that still happens here, but it's like you buy it here.
He tones it down.
He does. He reserves himself. He pulls himself back on it, but he's still doing it. But he does it in a way
more
where
digestible.
It's still rooted in character. It still makes sense. You still believe that conversation's actually happening. It's not like when suddenly Liquid Snake starts talking to you about genetic memes and like the genetic passcode to you're like, what the fuck is going on? Or, even worse when the Colonel literally turns into an AI at the end of 2, it's way better here than it is anywhere else, and he never does it this well ever again, guys.
Infiltrate.
It is always maybe Peace Walker, but there's not a lot of monologues in Peace Walker. But he never does it as well as he does it here.
Peace Walker's also very well stylized in the way it does those cutscenes.
Well, the cutscenes are also shorter, because they have to be because it's on a handheld and so forth. So there's just a lot of like limitations to Peace Walker that like break away from Kojima-isms, but kind of break away in a good way.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I hear you with the menus, and I agree with them, especially on the cure menu. The cure menu is the one for me where I go, this is wholly unnecessary. I get it. I get you want to.
It's a fun idea.
I love all the survival gimmicks and stuff because that's really what they are, Connor. You're right. This is a stealth game. It's not a survival game. Yeah. But it's got survival gimmicks in it, and I love the stamina. I love the eating the wildlife.
I like the stamina too. Food. I just don't think I should say it doesn't. It doesn't feel like the encumbrance system in Dark Souls, where I'm constantly having to configure it to get to my specifications.
See, and I hate it in games like that because I think it's too aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I think it's balanced pretty well to where, yes, you can ignore it if you want, but you're going to have a much better time if you play into those systems as well. Whereas in Dark Souls or any game with over-encumbrance in general, it's just like, all right, why did a fucking pen that I pick up suddenly make me walk slow?
But I think it's the worst in Bethesda games.
Also,
for sure,
Souls games is only with what you have equipped, so that's actually a kind of cool part of the game.
Same thing here.
That's true, but this one, it actually has an impact in terms of how much you have equipped comparative to past games where they didn't do that.
Sure.
And there's no real improvement in terms of having that element in it.
I think also just I hate doing it, and I hate that I'm going to do it for this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the sort of that playability that we were talking about, where you would enter an area and just go, oh, I want to experiment here.
Oh, okay.
Where, if you're playing the game and you know the objective and where to go, you are straight shooting through that, and you will never have to open up the food menu ever, because there's enough narrative resets of stats of your health and of your stamina to where you're just I never had to eat a snake or anything like that.
Yeah.
But if you're fucking around in the environment, if you're playing each map like you're like, oh, let me see all the nooks and crannies and stuff, and you're playing into that and having fun with that, yeah, you are gonna have to eat stuff. I had to eat stuff this time through. I was playing on hard, so the stamina system's more aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's where there's a lot of really small systems that play into higher difficulties. Connor, I know you're gonna laugh at me, but I think Metal Gear in general has always been really good at rewarding a player for wanting to up the difficulty or have an easier challenge. Playing it on hard, the enemy is more advanced. They're smarter. They're more aggressive. They can't, like, you have to use all of these systems in tandem to get it to really work. And that's when things like stamina really start to show their genius on hard and above, because simple, small things like running uphill does affect your stamina gauge. Like, that costs more stamina than running downhill or running on a straight plane, right? So you find yourself on extreme difficulty levels and so forth, finding a quicker path through topography in order to reserve some of that stamina to get through as easily as you can. Because again, you start feeling the effects of stamina drain earlier. So like in normal, you don't feel it until it's probably like halfway depleted or whatever. On hard and above, once you get a third, it's like, hey, you better eat something because this aim is going to start.
You can't aim anything.
The aim is going to start shaking a little bit.
He gets the shakes. He's got to eat something.
Yeah, he's got to eat something. I just think all of that is just fucking genius, and it's a level of like game design of like engage with it as much as you want to, because we're also not going to be annoying about it. And
I will say another thing is if you get under half, his stomach will start to growl.
Yeah,
and that can give you away.
I think if you get real close to end, his vision starts going black.
It does,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah. You would know, right?
Because I didn't know during the end fight, I had forgotten that he's tranquilizing you.
Oh, so you're losing stamina.
I was like, oh, I guess this fight, they're introducing the stamina system for a reason.
Yeah, I'm watching him fight the end, and I'm like, man, that stamina's really going down fast, huh? He goes, yeah, I don't know why they're doing that in this area. Like, I'm like, it's not the area, Connor. Look at the cure menu. Fucking
bullets.
riddled. Fucking so many needles.
Knife.
And I think it all accumulates. I agree with you. The progression of boss fights is very, very well designed in this game. From the end on, they just start hitting, with the exception of the field, they just start hitting you banger, 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 banger. And like each boss fight has a different element to it that you really have to sit down and think about. The first few boss fights are just shootouts. You're shooting at the Fury, or I'm sorry, you're shooting at the Fear, you're shooting at Ocelot, you're shooting at the Pain. But with the end, it's like, pump the brakes, motherfucker, because he's going to pop you full of fucking tranks, and you're going to lose. Like, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
The Fury. Man, you better understand this level quick, because we are going to punish you if you don't, What's next after that? Vulcan?
Sorrow.
The Sorrow.
Sorrow's more of like a little fun thing.
And then
the Sorrow, this is why I think this game is so fucking brilliant. The Sorrow is the entirety of The Last of Us Part 2 done better in 5 minutes. Like, I don't understand like how they nailed that theme of killing, and it's not even the main theme of the game. And they nailed it so much better than what a 20-hour experience could do. And I love The Last of Us Part 2. I think it's one of gaming's greatest examples of narrative and storytelling. I think it has a better story than what we have here.
Evan, that's your number 2.
Yes. But I just think that specific theme is done more effectively here because they place it directly with player action. Having you go up or walk through all of the people you killed, how you killed them.
I do think it's kind of silly that even if you do non-lethal for the Cobras, sure, they blow themselves up, but you're not the one that blew them up. So why are they
they actively blow themselves up, too.
Yeah, why are they in your river?
Because... those are also markers of progress, so you know where you are in the river and so forth.
Yeah.
Game design.
Because you've talked about it with very, very respectively. I want to go back to the whole themes of it, but gameplay function, that part kind of sucks. It's not that good. It's not bad.
Which part?
The Sorrow's whole that. Like,
I mean, you're walking through water and you're just moving and dodging. Yeah, it's not fun.
But it's also because
but you can also, Connor, skip it. Pop your fake death pill as soon as you enter it. Revive pill.
See, that's
you're
cool.
back.
Now you're back. Everything that you go, ugh, this part sucks. The game has an answer for.
One thing I will say is, I did mention in the Discord, I didn't mention on the podcast, but
or drown yourself.
I captured the End's parrot, and
Nice.
I had him, but then you lose all your stuff.
Yeah.
And I never got him back.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then they in the river, the parrot was there. I was like, why is the parrot here? I never killed the parrot.
Somebody did. I never understood how to pronounce it. The Chuchinoko snake?
Tsuchinoko.
Chuchinoko snake, which is how you get the infinity face paint for the game, which I love that it's a face paint in this one because now you can use stealth and infinite ammo at the same time. Combine that with you mentioned it with the spider a little bit. A lot of those deeper camouflages, like the ones you get from the boss fights and so forth, have bonus attributes to them. And they all do different things. And there's ones that you get for beating the game and, doing certain things throughout the game. So, like, there's a camouflage where, like, your suppressors never wear out. There's a camouflage where you have infinite O2 when you're underwater.
I know the one you get from Volgin, if you put it on, his soldiers won't shoot at you as much in the chase.
They're less likely to shoot at you or engage in combat with you because they get confused, quote unquote. They're the fly camouflage.
Yeah.
You're stinky. So they don't want to come up and hit you melee because you smell.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a bunch of things like that.
The sneaking suit has body armor. You to take less damage.
There's one's stamina gauge never goes down. One where your battery never goes down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's one that's just kind of cool. There's a couple of dumb ones, but the pain, it's like, oh, hornets won't attack you, and you go, cool. That's
where am I going to fight hornets again?
That's only useful in the pain. Like I guess if I shoot a hornet's nest that's above me, cool. But when am I gonna do that?
Yeah,
I barely did it any time. So.
The only times I can think of is in that first bridge section and then the ocelot fight.
Yeah.
I don't even think there is another hornet's nest in the game.
They're probably like littered throughout the forest.
Maybe, but you don't use them. But yeah, I fucking adore this game from stem to stern. I think it's the best playing Metal Gear Solid. I think Snake feels his best to control here, even though it is still a little clunky, especially when the topography gets more interesting and you're like trying to crawl and you accidentally crouch and you go, fuck, get back down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think like from stem to stern, like the game is just excellent, like superbly made, and they just don't. It's not even a matter of they don't make them like this anymore. I don't think they can. Like, I think it's just solely like unique in that this is Snake Eater. It's great. You can try and imitate, but you're not going to get close.
In terms of what again? The
overall game design, how the different game systems and mechanics layer on top of each other, the creativity of each answer. There are games that have those things, but I don't think they do them as thoroughly. I think of like Mario Odyssey rewards the player for high skill and rewards and stuff, and you can do some crazy platforming to like find
skip a ton of shit,
like 200 coins or skip things and stuff like that. Like that level of game design exists all the time, right? But like I don't think we've seen a game do what Kojima did in 2 and 3 until we get to FromSoft. Like I think that entire PS3, Xbox 360 generation didn't really get there, except for FromSoft.
I'm trying to think of like what. I think that there's got to be something else. Can't think of it.
Some Nintendo stuff randomly, yeah. I genuinely, I don't think there's another game that does it to this level until Tears of the Kingdom.
I think that's actually a pretty good point.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I mean, until Tears of the Kingdom. Oh.
Same year.
Baldur's Gate, I would kind of put into that, but Baldur's Gate just through the nature of its game genre is restricted.
I would argue that I think Tears of the Kingdom is a better example, but Breath of the Wild I think is on that. I think that's. I think
that's a conversation for another time, but I disagree.
I was gonna ask Connor. I don't know if it's a very like simple control thing, but did you know how to like crouch and go prone? Obviously, did you know that if you just hold the button while standing, you'll immediately go prone, or if you go from prone and hold the button, you'll stand up?
I didn't know that last part. The first part, I remember learning about it kind of near the end, so didn't really help me.
I think that's kind of neat.
Also, I'm sure I've done this before.
Would have made things better.
I'm sure I've done this before, and I probably did it with the last 2 games. But guys, I hopefully if you saved at the end like you should have, I very much urge y'all to go do a New Game Plus run. Not right now, but like whenever you want to, because like this is the best New Game Plus. I'm gonna say the best New Game Plus that Metal Gear ever does. And the rewards of having all your camouflages in the early game. Yeah. The Patriot is such a fun fucking weapon to use. And then the fun challenge of shooting the Keratins to get the stealth camouflage, getting the Infinity face paint, and then playing it again with those. Fucking around with the tuxedo, which they didn't need to add, but they did, Like it's so fun and rewarding in a way that the others just kind of aren't. One is fun because it's like, oh, I can stealth camo my way through it or whatever. Two, that's less interesting because you've done it before. And two, like, two's got this weird thing where, like, if you get a certain number of dog tags, suddenly the characters start wearing cool sunglasses.
That's funny.
And you're like, okay, like, all right. All of the, like, extra, like, bonus things, Raiden just wears different colored wigs. So, like, there's a brown wig for infinite ammo. There's an orange wig for something. There's I think a blue wig for infinite oxygen underwater and stuff. And you're like, cool, but I don't care, like, type things. Here, it's literally like, fuck, man. Like, it is literally that experience of, like, your first time through, fuck, I'm scared of everything. I'm on the ground, like, prone. I'm conserving ammo. I'm trying to be stealthy. I'm fumbling my way through it all the way through. And then that new game plus is I'm a superpowered human being. Yeah. And I am fucking you motherfuckers
Becomes
up.
even more of a playground.
I am so stealthy. And that's where you really start fucking around with mechanics and really start seeing the depth of some of those things. Or you actually experience the depth of some of those things. Because you mentioned, Connor, there are things that you don't notice until the final hours of the game. And you go, oh shit, I can do that? Oh, I wish I'd known that all along. Well, now you can. And this is, I think, just the most fun game in this trilogy to play. And I think, with the exception of Phantom Pain, it's just the best playing Metal Gear game. And if you
eat your words when 4 come out.
I need a word for video games that's equivalent to inflation, but like with gameplay. You know what I mean? I was trying to put like gameplay evolution of like things like that. Because like if you adjust for the gameplay inflation, this game plays better than Phantom Pain.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I get you. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like like this game is just as creative, if not more creative.
Adjusted for inflation, Metal Gear Solid 3 plays better than 5.
I mean, listen, am I crazy here? Am I crazy?
That's funny.
But yeah,
I think the way you can phrase that is like, oh, if I don't even know. I was gonna say like if this game came out now or something like.
Yeah. I also think it's really fun. Yes, the game is exposition heavy. There's a lot of setup in the beginning, and a lot of it's maybe not necessary. Do we need to hear a phone call conversation between President Johnson and Khrushchev? No, we don't need to hear that conversation. I'm glad it's there. I personally like how much Kojima is playing with history here. He's a guy who knows his history, and so he's really fucking with it. But in a way that still makes sense. When I was a kid, and a dumb kid, I thought this was history.
Like, dude,
what?
It's a true story.
This shit's crazy.
Then I hit high school and I went, oh no, that's bullshit.
You're telling me this Russian guy's got lightning powers? What the fuck?
Literally, dude.
It took you till high school?
No, it didn't literally take me till high school. But like, there was a part of me that always thought I didn't fully understand the Cuban Missile Crisis because of this game. This game actively deterred me from understanding the Cuban Missile Crisis.
It's so cool. Dude, stand in front of there. I'm gonna get my bicycle and I'm gonna hit you with it.
I think I did literally talk to a history teacher at some point, probably in middle school or early middle school or something. I'm young and I'm dumb, all right? Yeah. Where I was like, I did bring up, hey, Turkey had no strategic like capabilities at all. So why did we have missiles there in the first place? And the teacher probably went, okay, and moved on.
No, okay, you know what? He probably didn't fucking know either.
He's probably like, I guess? Like, what fucking internet or Fox News interview did you watch to get that?
Bro, I picture that in a scene of Abbott Elementary.
Okay. Teacher, fucking Greg or Greg?
Greg, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like,
Metal Gear Solid right now? Like,
what?
You know he knows about
that
Metal Gear
character
Solid.
breaks the fourth wall too much.
He's funny.
It's fun. No, I love that show, but he does it too much. I'm like, all right.
But like relax. When the fourth wall is like it
doesn't need to happen twice every episode.
It's people recording them and doing. It's like, are you seeing this? Like, come on.
Yeah,
I think let's rank this fucker.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Listen, I love that game. It's fucking great. I love it so fucking much. Moving on. I didn't prep it because I'm an idiot. A fucking idiot.
You're a goof.
You're missing a title too.
No, I'm not. What am I missing?
Yeah, you're missing the number 21 is supposed to be
not this.
21's supposed to be 20 is supposed to be Shadow of the Colossus. I couldn't know how to carry on the lie.
I was gonna say you really
what are you fucking saying?
He's being stupid.
Are you trying to say we put BioShock?
He was trying to gaslight you.
No, I was trying to lie, make you second guess your list because you've done it. You've been like, oh, I didn't update it, but I couldn't think of like what would I.
Yeah, that would work if I hadn't done it literally yesterday.
He was trying to gaslight you, but yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, I guess then not. I can.
Oh, I hope Phil look camera angle.
I look great.
There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you may or may not know,
me being the list.
we do rank every game we've played in this series. Make sure you check the description down below for the full playlist of the entire franchise or entire series that we've done. Currently, there are 31 games in the list.
You know what we didn't do? We didn't crack beers for this.
We did not. We didn't have beers. I looked.
We don't have any beers.
Damn.
We don't have any beers.
Next time.
Number
Y'all are poverty, dude.
Number 31 is Fable. Number 30, BioShock. Number 29, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 28, Prey. Number 27, Tomb Raider. 26, Alan Wake. 25, Batman Arkham Asylum. 24, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. 23, Halo Combat Evolved. 22, Dead Cells. 21, Shadow of the Colossus. 20, Mario 64. 19, Resident Evil 4. 18, Portal.
Honor.
17, Banjo-Kazooie. 16, Ratchet & Clank. 15, Pokemon Soul Silvers. 14, Severed. 13, Resident Evil. 12, Chrono Trigger. 11, Dishonored. 10, Metal Gear Solid. 9, Shovel Knight. 8, Portal 2. 7, Doom 2016. 6, Yakuza 0. 5, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. 4, Hades. 3, Final Fantasy 7. 2, The Last of Us. 1, God of War Ragnarok.
Hunter took that opportunity to catch up on some sleep.
Yeah,
there.
you know, he
He
caught
was
a
also
couple
showing
of
the
Z's,
camera how he was balding, so.
Nice.
There you go. See, now
Nice.
I know.
Now you
See,
know.
I was doing this, and I was thinking, I can make this work if I needed to. Like in a very
You could
severe
sleep
situation.
like that?
I could. If,
Wouldn't
like,
you rather just put your head on the table?
If I needed to.
I'm back in
whatever
grade
that
school,
is.
you know?
Yeah. You gotta pretend like you're up. Tavin, go first.
You're really gonna make me go first?
Of course
here?
I'm gonna make you go first.
We already know your answer.
Listen, you guys are gonna troll me. As soon
We're
as
the question marks.
You guys are gonna troll me as soon as I turn the question over to you guys. So whatever. Listen,
It's trolled.
this is my favorite video game of all time. I think doing my best to put that aside as much as possible and you know, putting my nostalgia aside, and when I really look at this game as objectively as I can, I genuinely think this is the greatest game we've played up to this point. It's one of the best stories we've played. It's fun, it's charismatic, it's campy. This is one of my favorite cast. I didn't get to touch on that. This is my favorite Metal Gear cast of characters, hands down, period.
Sure.
From the codec calls to the boss fights to the people you meet in the mission. Awesome all the way through. I disagree with your take on the codec people. I love them here. Sigan is the bomb. This is a game that fully encapsulates the medium of video games. It wants you to play it. It takes into consideration how you're playing it. It knows that it's an interactive medium, and it fully encapsulates that. It fully takes advantage of that. And on top of that, it is just constantly rewarding to play and constantly rewarding of player creativity and of player skill and of player, the more the player engages, the more it rewards the player. That is essential in gaming. And on top of that, it's even better on a replay. And the more you play it, the better it gets. It scores points in pretty much every single category for me. Yes, the menus are clunky and annoying to engage with, but I will say they're easy to engage with. You know where you're going. You know where the buttons are taking you. That doesn't always work. A la God of War Ragnarok, those menus suck. Those are terrible menus. Like you never know what you're looking at. It's over-designed and somehow too simple at the same time, and it doesn't seem necessary at all. Like that's just an example of a game that doesn't do menus right. The menus are done right here, or as well as they can be done for 2004, even though it is a little clunky the number of times that you have to go into the camouflage menu, right? But I just think it's forgivable because the game, I would rather do this than not have the camouflage system. Like the camouflage system, for me, earns its little bit of annoyance of doing it. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Realistically, you're only using 4 or 5 camouflages. You don't need to go. It would be annoying if you had to go in and look through all of them. But fucking realistically, when are you using the red squares camouflage? Once.
I used it
maybe?
once, yeah.
Yeah, literally. So other than that, when you go into that menu, you ideally know what you're looking for. Yeah. Hey, I'm in grass. I should probably equip the grass one. Hey, I'm pressed up against a tree. I should do the tree bark one.
But again, those actions are ones that bring up the menu really, mainly the tree part, where you're just having to get yourself off the tree, bring up the system, go to that thing, and then do it for a small amount of time.
I only use the tree bark twice.
Which I guess
in the game.
I guess I could say is the other issue with the
Tiger Stripe
system.
Tiger Stripe is the best overall one, right?
It is,
So
early game, yeah.
If you're not sure, you're jumping to Tiger Stripe to check that one out first.
I guess when we're ranking it, that is a little bit more of a mark against the camouflage system, where you're not engaging with it in its entirety. You're just kind of going to the standout ones, while they also give you tons of them to make you think like you'd use them.
But it's
more.
also fun to have that many.
No, it is. Yeah, it's fun. It's not effective.
Sure. Yeah. But like, now we're in the thing of like, all right, do you just want to play the most optimally? Fine, here, like one camouflage for the whole game. That's how the first 2 games work.
But it's like fun stuff in the sense that it's kind of gimmicky and you don't mess around with it besides just like looking at it and be like, I can.
But
make
it's also
red
fun
flag.
to mess around with. Why do you have why do you have the white
Oyama?
Oyami and
Oyama?
the other one,
Kabuki theater
the
mask,
Kabuki
yeah.
theater like face paint,
yeah.
right? That's fun. That's funny to see Snake. In 2004 standards, look like a woman.
Remember when I used that face paint unironically in the boss
fight?
Yeah.
There's at least one moment in the game where every camouflage has a use.
Oh yeah, they do.
Now again, are you going to? Is there a better option? Most of the time, yeah, there's a better.
I just
option.
remember the like most emotionally impactful cutscene, and Snake is face painted like a
painted up,
Kabuki
right?
theater. Yeah,
Which I will
which
say
actually happened in our playthrough.
Was a cool moment because I did in that same moment I was doing the snow camouflage.
Yeah.
And it was a cool contrast when the flowers all changed to red.
Oh, yeah.
You're standing there. It's
Very
especially cool with that skin there.
Yeah.
So Tavin, where are you putting it?
This is number 1 for me by far. I think this is easily better than the last one, which is already number 5. I think, and then from these top 4, like you are talking about heavily like quality video games here, all for different reasons though. And I think Snake Eater checks every box, and the rest of these top 4 check a couple of specific boxes. Whoever wants to go next.
I was sitting on what you were saying, so I was like, okay, I was like questioning it.
You know what? I want Connor to go last. I'm gonna go next. This game is fantastic. It's a really good game. And I look at some of these games on the list, right? And my usual go-to thought, like whether it be a good thought or a bad thought, is typically when I'm ranking head-to-head, I'll be like, oh, how quick am I going to be to like play through this game again? Replayability. You have to think about how valuable that is to like what your opinion is on a game, right? And for that reason, I'm going to put this game the new number 25. I'm just kidding. No, of course not. No, this is the new number 1.
Going all in. Going all in.
Yes.
New number 1.
Well,
God of War Ragnarok.
In that case, despite Tavin, I'm not putting it at number 1.
Where were you? All right.
He was
Cool.
going to put it at number 1.
Yeah, you were going to put it at number 1.
Well, I said beforehand, thinking caps. Open, expanded mind caps, you might say.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking caps.
Uh-huh.
Since, just thinking's... Anybody can think. Thinking openly
Right.
is another thing altogether.
Well, everybody thinks.
Now... Well,
I think.
You don't think?
no, I do not. I think. But I know I don't think. So anyway...
I think you might not think, but I think you do think.
I think I don't know what the hell I'm saying. And...
I can't tell if this conversation is Kojima or Sam Lake.
Neither.
Okay, no, those.
But as I was playing through this game, I had an idea of where the position was, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to think about this.
So how far below Yakuza 0 do you think?
Well, the problem is I can't, as a matter of principle, do that. I wanted to, believe me. But Metal Gear Solid 2's there and definitively improved it, so I can't piss Tavin off. Honestly, it begins, and Tavin would disagree with me on this.
You know what, you're right. Metal Gear Solid 2 is too high. Put it below Yakuza 0.
Yeah! There's an
No,
argument,
we-
there's an
we- no,
argument
we-
to be made there. But,
No.
Hades, there is an argument to be made. Because you had said before, like, definitively, no.
I think Hades is the only real hurdle here.
Because of gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was going to be my big point. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, that's the hardest,
In-
that's the
in
best
this-
gameplay here.
In this current top 5, Hades plays the best.
And because of I guess what you were saying before made sense of like, hey, it does all these other elements as a whole better than, Hades, Last of Us, Final Fantasy VII, God of War Ragnarok. In that game, that's where that certainly definitively holds true. When you look at it from a larger scale, yeah, it has to be above that. It becomes a harder conversation when you talk about Final Fantasy VII, because narratively, and I'll tie this with Last of Us, because both those games have a better narrative. I say that because, as I said in my original review, I
agree, Last of Us. I disagree, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's once again because continuously through it, more so with Last of Us, but more continuously, I'm constantly like invested in the characters themselves. Are the plot details as investing? No, but it's about character. And as I said before, when your codex partners aren't as great as the past ones were, And as good as the other characters are, Ocelot, Vulcan, they're not a constant source.
Man, you really like Natasha in Metal Gear Solid 1, huh?
Natasha, I never said her. I said Mei Ling. I said the commander.
He doesn't even know who Natasha is.
Natasha
Sniper
is the
Wolf.
weapons expert specialist of the first game that you have to actively call to have any type of conversation.
Oh, she was the only one I ever did.
Otherwise, you're not going to see her, and she's lame.
I never called her.
She's
I never.
boring.
She is boring.
Sigan is her, but like just way better.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that.
Because doesn't Sigan talk to you about like animals too? Or
No, that's the doctor. The doctor.
Yeah, paramedic we're talking
Paramedic
about.
animals,
Yeah. So if you save, paramedic talks to you about movies, but if you call a paramedic specifically, she'll talk to you about animals and survival,
Plants.
plants, animals, healing yourself. Sigint will talk to you about camouflage, items, weapons.
Mhm.
So like, there's a great conversation if you call him while you're in a cardboard box.
Well, I never did.
Snake, what are you doing? I'm in a box.
in a box.
Why? I don't know. I
I
just feel at home
yeah,
in
that's
the box.
But a lot of it comes with the gameplay and the general game design of Metal Gear Solid 3 that would put it above Final Fantasy 7. Once again, you're still with the strong, impactful narrative of The Last of Us and the thinking cap moment, which is God of War Ragnarok. I brought it up in the past. I have. And I'm in agreement with you guys, and I still am in large part, of we cannot change its position in the list because we said it, that's it. We have to we have to have integrity. And I agree, but through this game, I was running up with the issue of like, okay.
You also got outvoted.
What?
You
I
also
did.
got outvoted.
Well, I was not really like pushing it as hard. I was more just like, hey, should we consider this maybe an idea? But I was like, I understand why. Integrity of the list and all. Before I bring that up, though, because that is still important, at the time when I was like, okay, is this better than The Last of Us? It would end up being in my mind. It cleared God of War Ragnarok because of the previous issue. We kind of idea of, some games we would, like, on the list right now, we would rank higher than it if given the opportunity to do so. But when I was playing through the game, and of course that emotional ending hit, I was like, okay, it clears Last of Us to be the new number one. So I would be in that position, which is why it was funny to see Tavin all be like in the days leading up. I'm nervous at the end of the day.
Listen,
and
I had a running joke with you where like I would randomly just pass you by and be like, "New number one, huh?
Yeah.
New number one."
And
listen, I knew this game was ranking high. Like no matter what, like there's no like, how can you objectively say this game is not top? Like I mean, it's better than the last one, right? So it has to be top 5.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. I was worried if we're gonna get past Hades with him. I was worried if I was gonna get past Final Fantasy or The Last of Us with you. Like
I always knew Phil was going to put it number one because it's reasonable to say it is over the other ones. Hades is the biggest like issue, but he would put on. But I know you would be like I know you would pump the brakes and say, okay, well I like it the most, but for all reasons.
I know that I'm the highest on Hades out of the three of us, but like
for good reason.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I think Hades has debatably the best gameplay in this list, hands down.
No, easily.
I think Doom is probably the only other one that gets close.
It does get close, yeah, but
it doesn't get that close to me though.
It gets pretty close for me.
It gets close, but not to the point where it's hard to think about.
Yeah,
like when you think about it, you're like,
I'm still picking Hades over it. But if in pure gameplay, I'm still picking Hades over it. Yeah, but
yes,
all encompassing all the sliders, like, I just don't. I objectively like don't see if you're encapsulating all sliders. I don't see how Snake Eater's not number one.
Yeah, and you can give yourself a little clap, Tavin. You're satisfied.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your Two Penny Game Club for the month of February. But don't fret, because we, ladies and gentlemen, have to find out what we're playing next month.
Oh, fuck.
I almost forgot.
I remembered right there in that last second. And you see how good that transition was?
Okay, I guessed it. Not last time, the time before.
Okay.
When did you guess it? You guessed Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah. Let's see.
Which was not last time. BioShock was the last one. So, of course, we alternate between choosing a game. Connor, you chose for the month of January. That was Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. But before that, we do the wheel because we alternate months. And so last time we brought the wheel out, we vetoed Final Fantasy VI. We vetoed
Fable 2.
Zelda Breath of the Wild. And we vetoed Fable 2. This time around, you gentlemen gave it to me already. We are going to veto wherever the hell they are.
Mhm.
I really wish I
alphabetical.
did not shuffle these when I did. I really wish I had just kept them in order because I was starting to get the feel of where things were. I also wish there was a button to where I could just organize it by letter.
Yeah.
So we are
Control
vetoing.
F. Just we would.
I am
Control F
vetoing. No. Fire. Oh, actually, Connor, maybe it will. Fire Emblem Three Houses, and then Connor, you chose. Oh, look at that.
Oh, there
that
we
works
go.
perfectly.
There you go.
Connor, you chose to veto Death Stranding, and
Fuck off,
Phil,
Kojima.
you picked
Fable 2. Oh no, I didn't.
You couldn't.
I couldn't. What the fuck?
Fable
did
2
I do?
has to stay in the list this time.
I do.
You guys are gonna be like, oh, it's not that bad. That's gonna have the reaction.
Probably just gonna be like, oh, it's
Bioshock
better.
2. Bioshock 2.
Bioshock 2.
Which I don't know if got added back to the list.
It did.
Not.
You misspelled bio. Oh, wait, nope. You just didn't do it all. Nope. I guess you just took it out.
I remember updating it. I updated it.
Maybe it just
Where
didn't
the
take.
fuck are we in this fucking
Yeah, I
screen
know.
now?
Yeah, we can look for it later.
All right, fine.
We'll
You're right.
just-
I don't even need to add it because it's whatever. So we're gonna spin the wheel now.
Oh, by the way, it's gonna be Limbo. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh shit!
Fuck, not close.
Did it go?
You did.
Did it stop?
No, it didn't work.
We're
It
having a great-
reset.
We're having a great time,
Limbo.
We're having
It's gonna
a
be
great
Limbo,
time.
guys. I don't know what to tell you.
gentlemen. We have
It's not Limbo.
Signalis.
Yes! I've been wanting to play this fucking game for so
I have to
goddamn
say I
long.
own it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, I have it too.
This is like an isometric horror
game.
game. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
with apparently a very good plot.
Oh.
It's got like a nice cartoony art style to it.
No, kind of like, well, yeah, that's true. It's just it's
Almost
the-
like not anime, like kind of anime, almost like Studio Trigger anime style.
it kind of a way. It's a unique art style.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of Trigger being like, oh, I know who that is. This art clearly would be recognizable for a large many people. I'm so fucking happy about that. I've been
Nice. That's hype.
really wanting to play that game. Nice.
Hype.
Yeah. And the game we don't really. It's like the phone game. I'm forgetting all of a sudden.
Severed?
Severed. No one knows, and then we were like, hey, this is really really good. Wow, this will be that next one.
Great.
Yeah.
Signalis. This along with Severed is like a game of like we're just playing it because one of us likes it or whatever. You know?
I wanted to play
So, ladies and gentlemen, join us back at the beginning of March, and we will have a review for Signalis for you. Until next time, have a great time, and gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Peace.